Hello, hello. How's everybody? Is anybody here? I might see and might just wait and see as people come in. Hey, Xiao Felong, right on time. Matilda, how are you? Man, I love these banners. So, Xiao Felong taught me how to do StreamYard, and this looks sick. Just like displaying everything, and it definitely feels a lot more set up than staring at my phone from last week. Matilda, Bloopy, Nelly, Pia, Mr. Roberts. How's everyone's evening going? Retroranga. Liz. Can you indicate who is actually going to be actively listening to this and who's actually putting this in the background while doing more productive work? Very curious. Awesome, Michelle. Oh, Bloopy in the UK. Welcome, welcome. For people from overseas. It still blows my mind. Seriously, this whole YouTube thing blows my mind. The fact that there are people tuning into this not in Australia. Peter Ramsden from the UK. This is awesome. Yeah, so today just wanted to address this label of small reseller. The reason why I wanted to talk about it was because oftentimes when ideas come up in social media, the qualifier that comes up is I should probably get rid of CL for long term. Hey, cool. Yeah, this whole people qualify. They say I'm only just a small reseller. So I thought it would be cool for us to talk about what a small reseller actually is. And if you guys want to in the chat, you can have a go at defining what a small reseller is. For me, when I see small reseller, it feels self-deprecating. It feels like we're bowing out of qualifying to do the thing that's being suggested. When someone says, have you tried this coupon? Have you tried this tool? Have you tried branching a new category, opening a separate store account? To Aussie Thrifters, hello. Yeah, like this immediate need to go, I'm a small reseller, so therefore it doesn't apply to me. I don't like that, and I would like for us to change that. And if anything, I hope that this conversation we have tonight does one or two things. It makes us feel okay being small, but also helps us to feel like we can do something with small and not feel like small immediately means less across the board. Michelle's talking about small being a one-person band. That's very similar to my definition of a small reseller, where if I can't leave my business behind and do something else and the business actually can keep running, I consider myself small. So there is no, to me, small reseller means there's no dollar figure that defines it. I know six-figure reseller tends to be the title that gets thrown around a lot. Don't like that, because if I sell 10 items for 10 grand, that's six-figure reselling. But is it a business? Not really. If I leave it and I don't touch it anymore, does it continue to run? No. So really, it's not even a business. It's just an activity. So I think that when I think of myself, I still see myself very much as a small reseller because I haven't quite created a business that can run without me. And until that happens, I consider myself small, and it's okay. Because it really it positions me to not take time off. Not in like a don't take a break until you get to that point sort of way, but like when I became my own boss, I was looking forward to relaxing a lot more, and then I learned very quickly that I'm going from one job to doing multiple jobs. So, Michelle, you're reading my mind. So, so the plus you get to do every part of the job. So, being positioned to not to have to learn, have to master, more or less master every role in the business, so that we can then teach others to do it for us, whether locally or abroad. Um, until that point of mastery, we are small. So I feel like that's the consensus amongst you guys as well, those of you who are listening. How quickly that changes. Yeah, Brad and Jez, what do you guys think? Small reseller means. No relaxing, it's more the flexibility. Very true. Very true. I remember when I first started being my own boss, I slept a lot more because my brain was getting tired just thinking about what to do first, second, and third. Well, Michelle will have to let Brad this. We'll have to let Brad define what small reseller is before we can determine whether he thinks he's a small reseller or not. Oh, thanks, Pia. All right, in terms of what I'm drinking, it's the Dead Man's Finger rum with ginger beer. I figured if I did straight whiskey tonight on a topic like this, things could get a bit messy. Tiny compared to some. The comparison thing is also quite interesting because it supposes a finish line that's like beyond ourselves. So from when I look, if in the last live that I did, I was very clear about how for me to be able to say that I am six figures, my wife must be able to say we bring home six figures. And if she doesn't feel confident saying that, it means that she doesn't believe the business will continue to do it. So kind of similar to the whole like like after COVID when sales dropped, like I remember when we were going through that COVID period where we were six-figure resellers, we want to call it that, and there wasn't a confidence that it would carry over once COVID dropped. There was always like a once we open up, will this keep up? And all of us know once we opened up, we all saw a bit of a dip in sales across the board, regardless of what you sold. And then it was like, all right, if we can somehow manage to pull 100K out of the business for ourselves, then we'll call ourselves six-figure resellers. And we didn't want to because we were like, well, if we do that, it became very obvious that the business would grow at a slower rate. So therefore, we don't want to take that title just yet. And I think that really points to the whole the finish line, the those thresholds of small to big. It's a job to self-sustaining business. It's very much a personal thing, which brings us to the when you find yourself being presented with an idea on wherever you get the idea from, could be social media, could be in person, could be on the radio, wherever you get an idea from, the first response shouldn't be to disqualify yourself. It should be, how can I apply it and what does it cost me to put it into practice? It could be a suggestion on, for example, here's a really good one. When coupons came out, there's this push to message previous buyers. You're so late, Janelle. You must have been brewing your drink. Like when coupons came out, and there was this push to reach out to buyers and offer them the chance to buy more with the code and so on. There was very quick pushback to like, I don't have the time, got too much on my plate, as opposed to figuring out how to actually fit it in because there's a benefit to applying it. Is small defining the amount we make, how many items we sell? Yeah, I agree, Brad. Like a lot of people who say they don't have time, or you make time, you fit it into your business, and you find ways to see how much more you can do. Even like I've been a full-time reseller now for 4 and a bit years already, and even then, when I asked my accountant what's the one thing he wants to see me change, he said it wasn't better data tracking, it wasn't better bookkeeping, it wasn't better use of finances. He was just like, I want to see what a proper full maximum capacity year of you looks like. And I went, but I'm already working a lot. He's like, no, 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 no. I mean, like, you're working a lot, but to Dave's point about flexibility, the family knows that if they need you, they can call on you, and you'll drop everything to go and support the family. Things like, leaving, like just taking the day off to go take the kids to go do something on the school holidays, taking a day off to go move something at my in-laws shop in Bacchus Marsh. Like, you haven't insisted that your time must be as important as everyone else's work time. And he went, I think it's time for you to do that. It didn't occur to me because I was like, yeah, I'm working late nights. I'm trying to be there for the family. I do drop-offs like 4 days a week, and I do pickups 3 times a week. I do most of the extracurricular for the kids, but I still manage to clock my 40 to 50 hours a week because I work late nights doing stuff like this. And it's that whole, but if you were to consider your time to be as important as everyone else's work time, how much more can you actually squeeze out? And it amazed me that I hadn't actually made that shift in my mindset yet. So, yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting. Definitely in that regard, I would then be a very small. It's a very small reseller thing to give of yourself to everybody else, as opposed to going, I'm winning bread just like everybody else. So, yeah, it's easy to get distracted by home tasks while working at home. No kidding. Some days I get. Some days it's too easy to be sitting on the couch. I literally go to the garage and shut the door, and just be like, this is one more step. If I have to open the door to go into the house, hopefully and even the fact that a garage door takes time to go, and then you go out. Yeah, just that in itself, I have to put that in some days so that I just don't go inside and sit on the couch. Because sit on the couch, I'm gonna fall asleep, or turn on the TV or whatever. All right, so back to the whole. There are always gaps, Wendy. Very true. So true. When I think about small resellers, I think the pity party needs to stop when people feel small, because grumpy granny's here. Hello. When small resellers feel like they can't compete, or they feel that promoted listings was designed for the big seller, was designed for. Hold on, I just realized my camera is mirrored, and it's so distracting because when my hands go one way, the screen goes the other way. This makes more sense. Cool. So, so sorry, guys. Yeah. So this whole pity party thing of like, I can't use that, or if I use it, I'm just gonna lose to the big guys anyway. So what's the point? It got me thinking about what is something that a small reseller has that a big seller does not have, and very quickly, responsiveness comes to mind, which then changes how I view social media, anything on social media completely. How many, like, if you want to just do like a me comment, like, how many of you have actually seen this before? I've been on eBay for X number of years. It used to be a certain way. It's gone to crap. eBay have gotten greedy. Essentially, people commenting saying, I've been doing this forever. eBay doesn't look after the little guy anymore. And I'm gonna start me. So I see this comment all the time. I've been doing this for so long. eBay doesn't look after the little guy anymore. And the moment I realized that responsiveness and adaptability are the only thing that a small reseller has that a big reseller doesn't have, no access to, these comments start looking very not credible. It's like, you mean to tell me that for 20 years, 10 years, however long you've been on eBay, as a one-man show, you still haven't trained this muscle of adapting to change? And that's worrying, because those are also one of the loudest people, because they think that by virtue of age on a platform, they get to speak the loudest. And when new resellers come on the platform and they start reading these comments, they go, oh my gosh, is eBay a place that I shouldn't be on because they don't look after the little guy? Or should I even get into reselling? Is it already too crowded? Can I even gain any traction? And so, exactly. And so when I think about how speed, ability to trial, ability to even abandon a category if it's not working for you, that is super powerful. Because where, if you think about a big business, right, for all their dollars, every time they make a new decision, they have to run decisions through layers. They have to, even if they don't have many layers, they have to be concerned with the feelings and the sentiments of people within their teams before they make anything live. When I think about a company wanting to make a statement on YouTube, they have to do so many trials, so many tests, so many sign-offs before they can make the message live. And even then, they have to make sure that it's a particular person's head that gets chopped if it goes really badly. Me, on the other hand, who doesn't know how lives work, last week I just pressed the button and looked at the screen and thought, oh my gosh, it's live. And I turned it off. And then Matilda goes, are you testing? And I went, okay, let's just do it. And we did it. And so I think that's something that all of us can do as small resellers. We can try categories, we can dump categories, we can make changes to pricing, we can run 50% off markdown sales for 2 weeks and see what happens. And all of that, as frivolous, facetious, what's the word? Like as it may seem, it's all a great way for you to get data back. It's for you're allowed to prod your category, and that's so powerful. You're allowed to see if people buy significantly faster. Obviously, don't do things like, items for 100 and this 99. Don't do the 99-cent auction for your whole store, because that you learn nothing from that exercise. But if you lower prices in stages, you can very quickly see the behavior of the people who are keeping track of your store. There was someone in one of the Facebook groups who was her name will come back to me, who said she ran a charity, she was running like the online version of part of a charity. And then the suggestion I gave to her was to go from 80% off, no, 20% off, then 40% off, then 60% off, then 80% off every 2 months. That way, when she can pinpoint, depending on the category, when buyers will buy, or when watcher numbers go up, or when views go up, when views go down, can work out what categories within their store, no matter where it goes, the views don't change, the watches don't change, and the send offers don't change. And by 80%, it just gets thrown away. And then they can very clearly say, these items take this long, these items never sell. But that staggering provides data. How many of you actually love that process of getting insight whenever you make changes to your business? Just reading through these comments. Can I say, you guys who do lives, Chris in particular, how you keep up with the chat whilst talking and doing whatever else you do, like raffles and stuff, it's amazing. My brain does not know where to be right now. But this is so much fun. I'm just catching up with comments. Business and times are forever changing. We have to get on board and adapt, run with it, learn and grow from there. I personally love it. Awesome. so much potential who wants to start for people who want to start a small business. So true. The best thing about eBay for that doesn't get talked enough is that it gives you pieces that you can play with that are small enough. Thanks, Chris. Like I remember when I first started as a commerce student, and they were teaching us with all these numbers. You know, here are million this and billion that, and multiply by a factor of whatever for this value at a million this and that. It didn't actually make sense. It only started making sense to me when I buy a BlackBerry, I recase it, and I sell it for more. I look at how much my labor was worth, and I was like, huh, this makes sense because the numbers are much more digestible. And so when someone says to me, I don't know, I want to start a business, I don't know what to do, my first question is, have you tried selling anything on eBay? And look at me and they go, but I don't know, why would I sell on eBay? Because it gives you the reps to sell stuff that at numbers that you can digest. Because even a smaller ASP reseller. So my average sale price ASP is between like $10 to $20 because I sell toys. For me to think about selling something that's in the 500s to 1,000 doesn't even cross my mind. I don't even explore those categories. But I do wonder at some point, I probably should, because it technically should mean less effort, more money, right? But then at the same time, I'm sure some of you do higher dollar value items as well, and you might not agree with me. So it's all testing, getting data, and then reapplying it back into the endeavor. Michelle Martin talking about Amazon FBA. I've never actually checked out Amazon. I do wonder. I have this impression that Amazon is only for new items, and because I sell mostly secondhand items, that I won't get much traction on Amazon. Is that true? Because at the moment I'm purely eBay, and Facebook and Gumtree are mostly for dumping things or things that are too big to ship. So how I gotta talk to you about that, selling secondhand stuff on Amazon. Then I wouldn't mind learning a different platform. In terms of toys, the most expensive toy I sold was a 1 in 10 toy car that went back to the States for 800. But then like everything else less was like 800, and then the next one was like 200, 100, and then most of them in like that $10 to $50 range. Ah, interesting. So would you be shipping the stuff? Would you be shipping the stuff to the States for them to then fulfill it within Amazon USA, FBA? This discussion is interesting. Whoa. Michelle, I'm glad that you are local to me because I would so love to meet you in person to watch this process. Ah. Well, there you go, everybody. You now know that you can you can sell stuff on it. You can sell used stuff on Amazon in the States from Australia. There's a process. Janelle says it's hard, and I'm sure if we dig deeper, we will find all the barriers that we need to overcome. Hmm. the one thing I love about this conversation is that we've set the scene to figure out how we can get something done. And I think that needs to be something we do more often wherever we are. Part of the reason why I created a YouTube channel was not for monetization, not for notoriety, purely for community and culture, because I found that whichever social media room I'm in for reselling, it felt rather toxic. It felt rather angry. It felt rather frustration ridden. So really what it comes down to is framing, right? Each one of us, when we see a topic being raised, if we already have an opinion on the matter, we can very quickly frame a conversation so that the remaining discussion that follows is a productive one. It's filled with you can do this or this or this or this or this or this or this. Pick one. Jason Ramage does a great job of this in the eBay Sellers Australia page, usually with long paragraphs. And I have joked to him about it. I said, have you considered writing shorter paragraphs so that your comment gets seen earlier? But that framing is so important, because then that means that when people want to chime in and add their little complaint, because hey, someone else complained, I'm going to complain too. They have to break the frame, which is very counterintuitive. Like, you don't, if everybody's praising something, it's very even the worst people have to be very thick-skinned to go in there and just tear it all apart. So that's something that I think we all can do a lot better when we're on Facebook and we see posts very much aimed at complaining about something. You go, hey, actually that tool works quite well in this context. Context. That's the other thing. I think even though we are small resellers, whenever we see somebody complain about something, we almost can figure out without asking what the context is. Kind of like how I remembered when we went for all years, there was someone who kept insisting that eBay should not insist on tracking, that that eBay should provide insurance for not tracked. And we were just going, no, that's not reasonable. Why do you think this is reasonable? And then when he finally mentioned how much he did in sales and at what threshold he was only willing to send items tracked, the whole room, the whole room was like, oh, all right, yeah, we're not listening to this one anymore. We're moving on. Because the context really matters to why the complaint is felt to be valid for that person making it. So push for context. Whenever somebody raises an issue, try and ask them for the facts that are in their situation, so that when somebody else reads on, especially smaller, less experienced resellers, when they read on, they at least can go, this doesn't apply because of those facts. When I think about being in business, I love the fact that we can do anything. I love the fact that if I want to not work for 6 months, I can. I love the fact that if I want to work for 6 months and ignore everybody, including my wife and children, I can. I love the fact that if I want to sell toys today and then tomorrow decide to go sell men's clothing, I can. If I want to then stop that 2 days later because I get bored and go back to comic books, I can. The only reason I don't do that is because I'm building something, and some things don't fit as well as others. I think because a lot of us start out in jobs and we start out in environments where we don't give ourselves permission to do a lot of stuff, that little devil kind of lingers around when we run our own businesses as well, where we don't make changes as quickly as we should. We don't give ourselves permission to try things when we can. So I think that when we are presented with opportunity, when we feel inspired, actually, because there's still some mental capacity to be curious, so we should just give things a go and see what happens. You may discover that you like something that you never knew before. You may discover that the thing that you're trying is a really bad idea, and you can very quickly work out what to stay away from. I'm loving how this Amazon topic is so solid in this chat. I kind of want to save this chat and to refer for later. Grumpy Granny, why are you getting the shakes? You're gonna have to elaborate on that one. Chris, I'm laughing at your comment because your main reason not to do it is data. Ooh. Latest, Chris. I don't know, with the promoter listings thing is interesting because I do see the impressions go up when I use promoter listings, but my conversions organically actually go up, not the promoted listings conversions though, which is interesting because it's like as if the promoted listings makes my existing buyers more aware that I exist, and then they just come back and buy more because it just flashes more listings higher up for them to see. It's strange. Like I've not actually tried promoted listings completely in a new category to see if it makes that big of a difference. But it'd be interesting to know why sales pick, because I was talking to like Gary, and Gary was saying that it's like his organic reach felt the need to grow once he took promoted off. Because I always thought that promoted listings was promoted on top of whatever organic you already got. I never quite saw it as if you're paying for promoted, they'll turn off the organic a bit more. It just felt like here's free market and then extra. You're paying for the extra. You're fighting for the extra on top of free market. But if anybody else has a different opinion on how promoted listings works, feel free to chime in. Michelle, when you tweak your promoted listings, do you do it by category as well? Because I always feel like the people who move promoted listings around in like generalist stores, yes, Brad's mentioning that as well. It's like it really depends on the category, because there are some toys I sell like action figures, and with action figures it's such a diverse category with so many like different branches. The promoted listings works really well because if somebody has a very specific search, it very much affects the ranking of what turns up on search. So for example, if somebody searches for like a Venom action figure, they'll get, how many 100,000 of them, because there's so many different ranges from the vintage ones all the way to the current ones. But then the moment they narrow it down to like, artifacts, or they narrow it down to like Marvel Legends, and then by the year, which means they're after a particular item, you really start to see the promoted listings effect take place. So I do wonder whether it's not whether for items that are more general in nature. I can't think of something on top of my head because I don't sell anything that's really general. I sell my model is very much somebody wants a specific thing, they find the specific thing on eBay because they can't find it outside of eBay. So therefore, I don't really have items that are generic, like pink water bottle screw top. Like I don't have any of those kind of items, so I can't really comment on items where the the search, once the person types in the most specific search they can come up with, they are still left with equivalent options. Because usually for me, I think of it from I want items where the moment the person puts in the search for what they want, they are given essentially more or less what they're looking for. The only difference is price. Whether they trust me, that's based on the photos. Whether the item that they're after is the item that they is of a condition that they want to purchase it at. And in that specific situation, I definitely see, if I promote at a higher percentage, I see my listings appear higher a lot more compared to if I don't. How many of you actually see competition as search as opposed to competition as items and sellers? Let me know if you want me to rephrase that question. Okay. So when I think of competition on eBay, I see it as an SEO battle. So when we started selling baby clothes, for example, um, everybody who was selling the item was would sell the item with the proprietary print name. So it could be, say for example, dancing galas was what the print was called. And those of you who are in the clothing space know, like, there are names for prints. And then I said to Jenny, I don't think anybody who doesn't know dancing gala searches for dancing gala. If anything, I think of my competitor. I think of when someone wants to buy an item, I think of a mom seeing another mom going, "That's a really nice onesie," and then after that goes, "What's it called?" And the mom goes, "I don't know, but it's from this brand." So okay, the brand must be in the search. But beyond that, it's like it's a pink bird, it's a gala, but the dancing thing doesn't matter. So then eventually it became very apparent that if I want to sell to that, so target buyer in mind, if I want to sell to that person who happened to see the walking billboard that is a baby wearing that item, the thing that they search for isn't dancing. So then I got rid of the dancing gala thing altogether. And so I think, like tropical bliss, like words like that, which are very proprietary, and the actual company will use those words. And so if a reseller comes into the space and they know the item and they're a big fan of the item, they'll just copy what the manufacturer does. Whereas for me, I'm like, no, I want it to be the tropical bliss print will actually be baby onesie size, right? And then after that, it will be, well, onesie is a Vero word, but whatever, the like one piece. And then it will be whatever animals I see, whatever color I see, and I maximize that search because I go, would a mother buy this for the green or the pink? I think it's the pink. And so then when I started thinking of promoted listings relative to how I compete, I only compare the effects of the promoted listings within the search that I'm competing in. So I don't try and find my item any which search. I go, I'm promoting it because I'm promoting it to go higher only within that search because that's how I view my competition. Does that make sense? Grumpy Granny, I feel like you're a very visual person. Like, I feel that whenever you say how my buyers would search, you already have a very visual representation of what that buyer looks like. Am I right? Girls dress size 7. Oh my gosh, the other day I saw a men's shirt. Didn't even have color, didn't even have size, and I went, "Oh my gosh, this thing's gonna be here forever." But it's funny though because it's like, how did? But then they go, but how did I see that listing? Yeah, I do. I do wonder at what point will eBay be more like Facebook, where it recognizes the photo, because like Facebook is notorious for spelling errors, but even then it will still show you listings that you want to buy, and you go, huh, because that photo recognition technology is so good. And it makes me wonder, eBay being such a text-based search engine, at what point will they start using that photograph? Because that really would change how we list as well. It would, I mean, for starters, it would make sure that we take very good photos. It will make bulk listings very interesting. um yeah, eBay doesn't really suggest, like, they're trying to suggest listings to you that you might like, but they don't really do it well, not the way Facebook does anyways. I sell new and used. So we essentially we will just pick up used baby clothing and in a bundle and be like, um if it's a print that is like really sought after, like it could be something that's very licensed, then we would, like, if you think of like Peter Alexander and Disney when they come together, right? That stuff sells for a lot more than say Peter Alexander with a random hot dog. So um if it's new with a desired print, we put it one off. Hey, Paul's here. And then they if it's used, if it goes together in a set, we try and make it into a set. Otherwise, we tend to just bundle it up together. And so we've got two accounts. One of it's for just the new, where we sell one off or in sets, and then another one where if it's play worn, the condition's not that great, or if just the prints don't draw the kind of premium that a mom will pay for shipping for, then it'll just be similar flowers, similar animals, put it together in a bundle of the same size for a mom to buy, say, 5 pieces of 5 tops or 5 bottoms at the same price. Yeah, rewriting the whole SEO is interesting here because it's such a big company and they've made it very clear that everything's like a bit of a patch game for them. So um, when I think about when I think about when I think about them overhauling everything to make it suitable, like to bring it into the new world, it's probably not going to happen. So, and I think text, yeah, like text-based search doesn't go anywhere. Like I mean, even when you say something to buy something, like you go, hey Alexa, buy this, right? It's still text-based. So I suppose there's some sort of, can I just say I love how awesome it is that you guys are just like having this really in-depth conversation in the chat. So no. Oh, actually, I've got a question for you guys. Have any of you actually managed to get video to work on your listings? Because no matter how hard I try, I'll upload a video and they'll say a review can take up to 48 hours and it just doesn't happen. Also, the rum's definitely kicked in. How did you find the? Do you find that it's successful though? Like, is it because I've mucked around with the length of the video. It'll say under review, and it just doesn't want to show, which kind of makes me very curious to know. I don't list directly onto eBay. Do you? Yeah, I did. Oh, okay. So like, so you upload the draft on your phone, Michelle, and then you actually just press the record video on your phone and record it that way, as opposed to trying to upload a file. Yeah, I'll give that a shot. I don't go to the barber anymore because I think after you feel your head enough times, you can kind of just run the razor through and kind of keep it pretty clean. The only thing that doesn't look clean is that bit, I think, which sometimes isn't straight. I'm not sure if you guys can see that. But yeah, just every 3 or so days, just grab a hand razor and just tidy it all up. So at the moment, it's a little bit fuzzy. This is from 2 days ago. But yeah, keeping the line straight took a bit of practice. I've had a mohawk now, I think, for when my son was in kinder. He's in year 1, so 2 years. Yeah, 2 years. I had it for 2 years already. I used to be so grew up in a Christian family, went to a conservative church, so couldn't have any funky hair. Actually took a lot of fighting to even get the center part because my dad was a side part, and I had to just have this like side part hairstyle. And then I remembered seeing Flounder in the Little Mermaid and I was like, ooh, I want this like mohawk looking thing. And then obviously the answer is no. I remember then when I wanted to get wasn't my first job, but my first job whilst being able to drive. I was into sneakers, nearly got a job at Foot Locker. And then my dad goes, if they're going to pay $13 an hour, why don't you go work in the bank instead as a bank teller? And they'll pay you $20 an hour. And then we'll try and get you more shifts. And so he convinced me on the money. Only later did I realize that was his way of like prolonging this period of no funky hair, no piercings, no tattoos for a lot longer. And so the moment I became a mortgage broker back in 2013, I very quickly got rid of the suit because I didn't think the suit did anything for the conversation. So it was very much like a white t-shirt, jeans. Hair was still relatively professional. And then the moment I did and then when my son was born, at the time I had like a fringe, and we stayed at the hospital for 4 nights because he wasn't latching on properly. So the feeding was a bit of a challenge. And I remember not packing any product, going to the bathroom and seeing this fringe and going, this is annoying me. There's no way I can maintain this whilst having a baby. The first thing I did after dropping off my son at home was go to the barber and shave everything all off. So that was the first time it was like my first skinhead thing was then. And then then after that, I just really enjoyed not maintaining this. But then it grew back out again, and then the mohawk happened, which is ironic because it's kind of like you still have to maintain it every 3 days, but it's almost automatic, just knowing, just running the razor through. You almost don't have to think about it anymore, and you can get it to quite a smooth. Like I remember there was a couple of times when I nicked my head and it bled quite badly, but then now it's. Fun fact, the best razors are still women's razors. Like if I could pick a brand to sponsor this mohawk, it would be Venus, because there's something about women's razors that just leaves it that much smoother than like no like I think I used like a there was once I used like a Chic Quattro. It got pretty close, but then like I kind of cheekily used one of Jenny's razors, and I was like, wow, this is actually even closer. I didn't think you could get any closer. So yeah, Venus. There you go. Also, on the topic of women's razors, I once I once tried to I once satisfied my curiosity on why women shave their legs, and I shaved it all off, and I felt really silly. I was giggling to myself the whole time, and I was like, "This is so dumb. Why am I doing this?" But I guess it started. Let's just finish it off. So I did it, right? And then and then I giggled myself to bed, and I jumped in. I was wearing shorts at the time, and I remembered my legs, my hairless legs, experiencing what it was, the fabric of the bed. And I was like, "Oh, that's why women do it. That's why you have. That's why you're so fussy about the material of your dresses, and why you insist on like satin pajamas." I'm like, that's why. And yeah, I remember just being like mind blown, and my sister going, "Really? You had to do that for you to know that's why women like different materials for pajamas?" um, yeah, I still remember it. It was like a freaking cold. It was like a cold dip. You know that it was like woof. I'm feeling everything right now. You asked, Matilda. I think you asked about the hair. You started it. Also, it's funny because this whole plight of the small seller thing would have been a much. I wasn't expecting the conversation to go the way it did, because from the looks of it, everybody here is very capable and very balanced and very kind of like head screwed on tight. So it almost feels like a case of, all right, we've talked about small reseller. Now everybody go forth and equip everyone else who feels like they're a bit lacking. Essentially, the goal of this whole live was to encourage you guys and anybody else watching after this. I have to remember that this stays on. That if you're small, that you shouldn't pity yourself or feel like there's a point that you have to get to before you can have any real impact for your business. The fact is, as pointed out, I think by Wendy up top, like, and every category has gaps. Every category has opportunity. Even with Brad and Jez's whole video that I commented on, that I did a reaction video on, like the fact that you guys picked up such good quality stock as liquidation stock shows you that a big guy can have a go, and even then still have stuff left over that is really good that you can have another go. So it just shows you, no matter how much data, whether a big person or a small player has about how their market is going to perform, there's always surprises. It's not as predictable. And I think that's why, for us as smaller resellers, we really need to keep our finger on the pulse to know where we're going to get our next opportunity, and really enjoy this initial period of growth as a bit of a sampling platter. Especially if you've come from a job where you're used to fixed hours, to actually give yourself permission to work 10 hours, 12 hours a day and just see what you can produce. Because I know some people who do not do well with working long hours, but I know some people who have never tried. And all I'm saying is that if you're the kind of person that has never tried, you should at least try and see where you end up. So for myself, I grew up with a dad who worked very fixed hours, and I grew up with a mom who, at the flick of a switch would work a second job and then a third job if the family needed it. And it became very clear that myself and my sister took after my mom's work ethic. So the moment we wanted to save for something, we do second, third jobs. The moment we wanted to try something new, we do second, third jobs. That's how I figured out the barista, how I figured out hospitality, how I figured out retail. And so when I became my own boss, it was never ever in doubt that I would maximize that capacity. The whole, I'm not going to set myself a bedtime. I know that in the long term, I need to pick a bedtime and stick to it, because for health reasons, for longevity reasons, for setting an example for my kids' reasons, I need to have some sort of structure. But for the growing period, at least, I would work until, you guys know, I will list till 2 a.m. until my brain eventually decides, okay, let's just shut off for now. And then when I meet other resellers who are still, I don't know what to sell, I like, I don't know what to sell, I don't know where to start. I go, so with all this time you have to do this thing called reselling, how have you not at least given these aspects a try? Like, there's not that much to do in our business when you think about it. And then you realize that a lot of times they're just there like researching and researching and just like taking information in, but not actually applying. And so I think, bye Michelle, great contribution tonight. We got to get you in for an interview. You look like you've been places. So so I think when you see anybody who comes across like they're a bit fresh, they're a bit alone, they're a bit down on themselves, please do your part as the good reselling community that you are to help them to get going, whatever that looks like. Because it feels like, everyone here who's listening, we all agree. So yeah, we're 3 minutes off from the hour mark. I feel like we have to get to the hour mark. So one last question. Those of you who are drinking, what are you drinking? Yes, it is, Mr. Roberts. Decaf coffee is a real drink. That was very hard to say. as a Christian, when someone would ask me at the church cafe, I want decaf coffee, my response is always, that's like asking for faith without sacrifice. And they look at me with a bit of like Hey, Paul with the rum as well. Cheers. Ooh, watermelon juice, fresh. Like, did you actually squeeze it yourself? Rocky Road. Spiced rum. That's right, Matilda. We know Bailey's exists in your household. Should we continue this drinking thing? I was thinking to myself, I need if I have a fixed time to drink every single week, then I'll just drink on Tuesdays with you guys. What does SDA mean? Cup of tea is good. And we made it to the hour mark. Well done, everybody. Hey! I'm still very amazed that that this happened. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Hope it was helpful. Hope the discussion was helpful. I know it was. And I'll see you guys next Tuesday. If there's any topics you want me to cover, anything that you guys want to talk about, comment. Yeah, that's it. Have a good night. Bye. Got any Voltron? I think I have like the blue leg of Ultron. I think it's the leg. I've got the blue lion, I think, sitting somewhere. Bye, everyone. Take care. And go change reselling culture.